What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. A lot of people in the past few months have been talking about new game modes, and I've made a couple videos discussing game modes. I will also now be making another one because I do think it's an interesting topic, and it actually does, interest me quite a bit. Real quick, before we dive too far into this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. Only about 7% of my current video viewers are subscribed, and it really helps out the channel. So in War Thunder, we have quite a few, types of aircraft. We have your fixed wing, you have your rotary, you have bombers, you have fighters, you have strike aircraft. IRL, each one of these work together to great success. You have fighters that hold down and destroy other enemy fighters, bombers that hit long-range targets, strike aircraft that help suppress enemy air defense, and helicopters to help clean it all up. So, obviously, a game mode that is focused around strike, like Player v AI, actually would be a very interesting game mode. You wouldn't necessarily need fighter aircraft, and you wouldn't necessarily need to include super heavy bombers, but I mean, you could. It would be very interesting to have a game mode that is Player v AI that is entirely focused around CAS, giving meaning for aircraft like the B-52, and would also allow planes like the A-10, the AV-8, and the Frogfoot to have a bit more success. You could have a game mode that offers a lot of SL and RP for doing simple CAS missions. This would also give Gaijin a chance to test out new types of AA like the Patriot or the S-400 and add missiles like the AGM-88 Harm, which would actually be a great way for them to implement these things into ground RB or even air RB as air defense systems. And obviously currently for CAS aircraft, there isn't really a big reason to run them in air RB as fighters basically do what they do better. But they are a lot of fun, and when used properly, it's actually quite enjoyable to use them. There's also, an option to add a player v player game mode like this that's more focused around strike aircraft, but a player v AI would make, honestly, more sense in my opinion. Now, obviously, in War Thunder, the whole, option of doing CAS is kind of like not necessarily really playable. I mean, you can definitely come out and run a AV-8 like I am right now and perform CAS missions, but you have very low rewards. You're better off just going for air-to-air kills. And a plane like an A-10, which is extremely slow, and especially an aircraft like the A-10C, which, despite having 9Ms, is still going to be a lot better in an air-to-ground role. It would be really cool to have a game mode that this aircraft could shine in. And also, this would allow aircraft like the B-52, the B-1 Lancer, and the B-2 Spirit, which might not all necessarily have a place in War Thunder's Air RB, but would have a really cool place in a game that is a strike aircraft base. Also, this game mode would allow helicopters to possibly be used alongside strike aircraft, which would be actually a lot of fun, and not a lot of people talk about implementing aircraft into a game mode mission like this with strike aircraft. I've heard of people talking about helicopters going into sim, but it would be very unique and cool to add them to a strike mission mode. Also, in current air RB, you have, if you're wanting to perform CAS missions, you're obviously dealing with enemy fighters. A game mode that's centered around maybe possibly going after enemy air defense, I think would be a lot of fun. And obviously, like I said, Gaijin can test a lot of new things. They could test the implementation of helicopters and aircraft in the same game mode with, this AI versus strike aircraft and strike, bombers and helicopters. They could test that. They could test out, Patriot and S-400. They could test out new AA systems. They could test out the Harms. There's a lot of different ways that this actually helps Gaijin in the long run, and it allows players who don't necessarily shine in player v player to be able to still pretty effectively grind. And honestly, a good player v AI mode would actually be a lot of fun, and I don't think people understand how fun a game mode like that really could be, and because it's never really talked about. Obviously, I think the farthest you're going to have is the bomber intercept mode that you can play in Air RB, but that really, no one really plays that because it's Air Arcade, and it's honestly not that much fun, in my opinion. I do think people would be interested in this sort of game mode because strike aircraft should have their own place in War Thunder, and I do think implementing them with helicopters would also be pretty unique because it would really allow helicopters to have another grind mode, which is definitely needed. And this would also allow Gaijin to implement new bomber aircraft, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to coming at some point in the next year, hopefully. And so really there's no reason not to do something like this, because there's, like I said, there's nothing bad that can happen out of this. I mean, I understand Gaijin's side of they don't want to split up people playing ARB, Simulator, and Arcade, and they want to keep it to those main modes. I do understand that, but I don't think adding a game mode that is centered around strike aircraft would be a bad thing by any means, because right now strike aircraft are really kind of hard to play in terms of actually air RB. And obviously, yes, these aircraft still have a place in ground RB, but honestly, going up against tanks is not going to be as fun or, as rewarding as running an aircraft in an actual game mode meant to be played against enemy aircraft or against enemy AI units. And, another big pointer out of this is that, obviously I've stated a couple times now that testing everything would be really unique, but Gaijin has talked about 2025 being a year to focus on implementing new AA systems for other nations and to help balance out ground RB. And if there is another game mode that they could test this in, this would be that game mode. This would allow them to implement, strike aircraft to see how missiles like the Harm would act against enemy AA systems, and to test out how powerful the Patriot or S-400 really would be, even S-300 or MIM-23 Hawk. Honestly, let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below in the comments. I am curious to see what everyone's opinion is on this. Obviously, I would imagine that a lot of people are not necessarily going to be against this idea, but I could see a couple people saying that it could split up people trying to play game modes, which I do understand that point of view. I really don't think it'd be that bad, but I just want to know what everyone's opinions are. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Please consider joining the Discord that is linked down below in the description. If you guys are interested in joining a War Thunder squadron, I do actually have one, and it is going to be available to join if you join through the Discord, and it's very simple to join. It's actually a lot of fun. We do squadron battles, so if you guys have any interest in that, feel free to join. And also, guys, we are trying to hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It is a big goal, and I do think it's doable, but it really, really would help if you guys shared the channel and shared this video with friends. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do comment your thoughts. I do like to read. And I will see you guys in a later video. If not, well, I hope you guys at least enjoyed this one.